This is the Garmin Venu X1. It's the closest thing to an Apple Watch that I have used from Garmin, but not only that, it's one of the best Garmin fitness watches I've used and one of the best Garmin golf watches I've used. But should you buy it? Maybe. Today we're going to talk about my experience wearing this for the last 2 weeks straight, my experience with it on the golf course, and we're going to compare it to all of the other popular Garmin watches out there, as well as the Apple Watch, to help you figure out if this is the right watch for you. Spoiler alert, it's fantastic. I like this watch a lot more than I expected to, but that doesn't mean it's perfect, and it definitely has some drawbacks, so you're going to want to watch to make sure if those drawbacks are going to be deal breakers for you. So let's not waste any time, let's jump right into this thing. So let's get the obvious out of the way. It's a square watch from Garmin. It's the first square watch from Garmin, so naturally that's going to lead people to compare it to an Apple Watch. And honestly, it's got more in common with an Apple Watch than most other Garmin watches I have used. That being said, it still is a Garmin watch. So a lot of the app capabilities and the smartwatch capabilities and the Apple integration that you get with an Apple Watch, you're still not going to get this here, but I will say from a day-to-day standpoint, it has been a joy to wear. Right out of the gate, the 2-inch screen looks wonderful. I don't think I realized just how much nicer and more usable having a square smartwatch would be. For the last 6 months or ever since it came out, I've been wearing primarily the Fenix 8, which is great, but it's very big, it's very bulky, and this is only 8 millimeters thick. So not only does it just kind of melt away on my wrist and forget about it, but that big screen makes using it a lot easier. Kind of. One of the major differences you're going to find between this watch and other Garmin watches are the fact that this only has 2 buttons. So for instance, the Garmin S70 has 3 buttons, and their flagship fitness watches, the Fenix line, those have 5 buttons. So I've gotten really used to having 5 physical buttons, and honestly, I generally prefer having the physical buttons versus using the touchscreen. But because of the design of this and the fact it only has 2 buttons, naturally you're going to end up using the touchscreen a lot more. But because the screen is both bright and responsive, I found using the touchscreen to not be as inconvenient or as annoying as I thought it would be, with a few exceptions that we're going to talk about in just a minute. So in a little bit, I'm going to jump more into my experience wearing this on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to talk about doing runs and fitness activities with it, sleeping with it. We're going to get into all of the smartwatch things, but this is a golf channel, and the focus of this review is how does the Venu X1 perform on the golf course. So high-level version, I think this is one of the best golf watches that Garmin has made. So one of the things you're going to find if you've started looking for a Garmin golf watch is that there are a whole lot of options. You can go all the way down to just basic GPS yardages with the S12. You can then move all the way up from the S44 to the S50 to the S70 to the Fenix 8 to get different features depending on what you're looking for. So if you're looking for a full-on fitness watch, something to wear every day that's going to track all of your health, your stats, and do golf, then you're probably going to be drawn towards something like the Fenix 8. If you just want a fantastic, dedicated golf watch that's going to have some of those health and fitness features, then the S70 is probably going to be the one for you. If you just want a golf watch and you're not planning to wear it off the course, then maybe the S44 or the S50 are the way to go. But if you kind of want all of the above and you want an Apple Watch experience without having to get an Apple Watch, I think this is going to be the closest option for you. So using it on the course, I found it to lock onto the satellites really quickly. It actually seems like it gets a satellite lock a little bit faster than my Fenix 8 does. For whatever reason, I found the Fenix to take a little while to lock onto satellites, but this within 5 to 10 seconds for each of the 3 rounds I have played, we have been good to go. One thing you might be wondering is what golf features does the Venu X1 get? Well, the good news is just like the Fenix 8 and just like the S70, you get all of the premium golf features that Garmin offers in its golf watches. So that means you're getting enhanced maps that are going to look better than the ones you're going to get on the S44. You've got the ability to use external devices like CT10 sensors or the Garmin Z30 Rangefinder. You're getting advanced plays-like distances that also take into account wind in your environment. And if you pay the $99 a year for the Garmin Golf membership, you also have the ability to get green heat maps as well. Using the watch on the course is great. It is very easy to switch between actual distances and plays-like distances. The maps look beautiful, and the screen is, like I said, it is seriously the best looking Garmin screen I've ever used. And the square form factor makes the screen feel even bigger than it is. So when you're looking at maps, when you're looking at yardages, it makes everything that much more convenient and much easier to see when you're out on the course. Not to mention, it's a super bright screen, so I've had no problem seeing anything in bright sunlight as well. Now I will say, if you're used to using other Garmin golf watches, it does take a little bit of getting used to the fact you've only got 2 buttons. While the touchscreen is super intuitive, it's super easy to use, kind of knowing how to get to the menu and the different settings, it takes around to basically undo your muscle memory from using premium Garmin watches. But once you know how everything works, for the most part, it works really well. Notice how I said for the most part. There's still one issue I've had with the Fenix 8 that I've also continued to have with the X1 when it comes to using the watch on the golf course. and that is easily getting hazard distances. Now, I don't know why they changed this, but if you went back to the old Epix Gen 2, you literally could just like scroll using the buttons through all the hazards. So it's like greenside bunker, water hazard, whatever, you can scroll through, get all of your hazard distances as well as layup yardages as well. Well, at the Fenix, they switched from those physical buttons, and now you have to like click one button and then you have to kind of scroll through using the touch screen, but it doesn't always seem to recognize the hazards. It's just kind of a cumbersome system, and I've found it to be more difficult to get basic hazard distances than it really should be. With the new X1, I've found the system to be slightly improved, but I've still had a handful of issues with it. So now you click on the hole, and on the bottom left, there's going to be a little hazard button. So you click that. At the bottom of the screen, it'll say bunker or water or layup distance, and then you can have arrows where you scroll through. When it works well, exactly how you want it to. I click the arrows, I can scroll through all the hazards. But because the arrows are down right at the edges of the screen, it seems like sometimes the screen is not quite as responsive around the edges as it is right in the center of the screen. So often I'll find that I'll be hitting the button and it won't scroll, or it won't recognize me hitting the arrow and it's thinking that I want to go out of that mode. And so it'll basically take me back to the main screen. So there's been a handful of times where it's like, okay, all I want to know is the distance to that fairway bunker, and I click through, I scroll through, and then it takes me out of it, and I've got to go back into it. So it's not like that all the time, and the more I've used it, the more familiar with it I've gotten. So it's not the end of the world, but it's just not quite as convenient as I would like it to be. The good news though is that because the screen is so big, I found it easier to navigate the hole maps using this watch than with some other Garmin watches. So if I want to click on the middle of the fairway so that I can see exactly how far I have to hit it in order to get to my ideal layup distance, I can do that, and that works really well. Really the only issue I found with navigation is sometimes going through those hazards. I've had absolutely no issues with scorekeeping. Every time I've walked off the green, it has prompted me to put in my score, and that has worked really well. Just like all the other high-end Garmin watches, this can do game tracking as well, even if you don't have the CT10 sensors. It is definitely more accurate if you have the sensors, but if you just want baseline level of data, how far you're getting your shots, this watch can do a good job of that. It also does seem to do a good job of recognizing your swings, so it will automatically track each distance after you hit. So you're on the tee, you start walking, and you'll be able to see a tracker on the screen that shows you how far away you are from your last shot. In a recent update, that's been working less well for me on the Fenix 8 than it had typically, so it was nice to see with this one that feature was working as it should. Hey, real quick, two things I just want to mention. If you're interested in buying this or any other Garmin golf watch, I would recommend you do it from playbetter.com. Their service is awesome. They've got 2-day shipping. They've got easy returns. I've had a wonderful experience with them, and I think you will too. Second, if you're not sure if this is the right watch for you or something else, go take our 30-second quiz. You're going to answer a few questions around what you're looking for, and I'm going to give you my best recommendation on the GPS watch that I think is going to be the best fit for your needs. I'll link to that below, and you can go do that while you're watching the rest of this video. All right, back to it. One other thing I wanted to mention is this pairs beautifully with the Z30 Rangefinder. So I will link to my review of that below, but I literally went into settings, I hit pair rangefinder, and I didn't have to do anything else. It just automatically paired when the rangefinder was on. And I honestly think that these two things are one of the coolest golf duos out there. Basically what this Z30 Rangefinder will do if you have a compatible Garmin watch is you shoot the flag, it's going to then in the viewfinder give you the distance to the back of the green and the front of the green from where the flag is. And not only that, it will update it in your watch. So it will show you exactly where on the green the flag is on your watch in real time. And then as you move up the fairway, it'll still remember where the pin is. So for the rest of the hole, you will get accurate yardages directly to where the pin is just by ranging it with your rangefinder. Right now, this is the only product that can do anything like it, and it feels kind of like magic. So if that appeals to you, that's maybe one more reason to pick up this watch. So overall, I've really enjoyed using this watch as a golf watch. It's honestly not really that different from the Fenix 8 or the S70, or if you're using an Epix, like any of the higher end Garmin golf watches, it's all pretty much the same software and has the same features. The major thing you're not going to see compared to the S70 is obviously there's not an 18-hole counter around the bezel, so you can't easily look down at your watch and get your color-coded scores like that does, which I think is kind of a cool feature. But honestly, that's a pretty minor thing, and I don't think that's going to be a deal breaker for most people. I think the benefits of the X1 over any other Garmin golf watch are mostly in the screen and the form factor. The fact it is so thin makes it very easy to golf with. If you've ever golfed with an Apple Watch, you've probably run into the button where you go back, you swing, your wrist will cock, and it will hit the action button on the side and can cause your watch to vibrate or do things you don't want it to do. Just kind of annoying. You do not have that issue at all with the X1. Also, the nylon band that's included with it is really, really comfortable. It's more comfortable than the rubber bracelets you're going to get with the S70 or the Fenix 8. The downside to it is that it is cloth, so if you're someone who wears your watch 24/7, you hop in the shower, you're gonna have a wet bracelet for a while. So it took me like a week to remember to take this off when I was getting in the shower. That's not to say it's not fully waterproof. It actually dries very quickly, so it's not that big of a deal, but I just don't really like the feel feeling of having a wet watch band on my wrist for an hour until it dries. And like I said, it's got the best looking screen of all Garmin golf watches, and that definitely translates well to using it on the golf course. The downsides to this are the lack of physical buttons. So if you're someone who likes the extra control that you get from those buttons, well, you're not really going to get that here. Also, the downside is battery life. In order to get this smaller form factor, battery life was something that took a hit. It still lasts significantly longer than an Apple Watch, and it charges pretty quickly, so it hasn't really been that much of an inconvenience to me, but I have noticed that I'm having to charge it on a more frequent basis. So all to say, I think this is one of the best Garmin golf watches out there. It's just going to appeal to different people. If you want the bigger screen, if you like the square form factor, if you like the fact it's so thin, and you're okay with the touchscreen, absolutely, this is the one to go get. But if you're someone who really values battery life, if you like the traditional nature of a round screen, if you like the physical buttons, or if you like some of the golf-specific aesthetic things that the S70 gets, then maybe there's a better watch for you than this. So now for the rest of this video, I'm just going to talk about some of the things I have noticed wearing this thing for 2 weeks straight outside of all of the different golf features. So the default watch face on the screen is my favorite Garmin golf watch to date. It's very easy to customize, it's very easy to see, it's very legible, and the screen being pretty responsive, I have not missed the buttons as much as I expected to. I know I've said that a few times, but it's true. One feature I didn't expect this to have, but I am so glad they put it in, is the flashlight. Like, that seems like a weird thing to have a flashlight in your watch, but once you have it, you find you will use it all the time. Unlike the Fenix series where you double click, you basically take the bottom button, you hold it down, and you get this light. It's quite bright. It's not quite as bright as what you get on the Fenix series, but it's plenty bright for most of what you're going to need if you're just trying to like go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I've honestly been surprised with how capable this is because it essentially is a Fenix 8. I think there's only a couple major things that it's missing. It does not have an EKG and it doesn't have multiband GPS. I don't usually use the multiband GPS on my Fenix just because it drains battery life, and I have never once used the EKG. So that's not necessarily something that I missed, but it has the exact same heart rate sensor as the Fenix. It is pretty much all of the activities you're going to get with the Fenix. So you're getting pretty much all the best day-to-day features of the Fenix 8, but you're getting it with a brighter screen, a more svelte form factor. Yes, you're taking a hit on battery life, but it is also less expensive than the Fenix as well. The Fenix that I have, I believe, is $1,200 for the Sapphire 47mm version. Maybe it's $1,100 bucks. This is $799. That is still an expensive watch. But for everything that this can do, for a watch that you're pretty much going to wear 24/7 and make kind of your command hub of your health and fitness and all of your physical activities, like that seems like a reasonable price for what you get. Yes, on the surface, it is expensive, and it is expensive. Yes, the fact it doesn't have EKG or multiband at that price point is gonna annoy some people. But for me, for what I'm going to use it for, it's kind of been the perfect watch. So I really expected to test this out and then go back to using the Fenix. I'm not sure I'm gonna do that. Now that I've remembered to take this off during the shower, I really like how comfortable the nylon band is. I like how good the screen looks and how easy it is to interact. Using the touchscreen, I found it to be much more enjoyable to use this touchscreen than using the touchscreen on other Garmin watches I've used in the past. So this is really just kind of this like dark horse sleeper, super capable watch that does come at a premium price, but it comes at a less premium price of some other similar watches that Garmin makes. So hopefully that helps you figure out if this is the right golf watch for you or not. I know I really didn't go into a lot of the other features, but there are tons of videos out there with people that just drill down and go into everything you could possibly want to know about this watch. But I'm also happy to answer any questions. One thing I did leave out that I'll throw in is that this is the most comfortable watch to sleep in I've ever used, and the data you get is excellent. I think that's one of the big benefits of Garmin over an Apple Watch is, an Apple Watch, you wear it during the day, you've got to charge it overnight. Well, this I could wear for 2, 3, 4 days without having to charge it, and it's much more convenient from that standpoint. That being said, if you have questions about anything that I left out, feel free to drop a comment. I will do my best to answer every single one. And with that, my name's Sean Ogle. I'm the founder of this thing here at Breaking 80, where we talk about cool golf products and cool golf courses. If you got some value out of this, hit subscribe, thumbs up, do all the things. And if you're still not sure which GPS golf watch is right for you, go take our 30-second quiz. You're going to answer a few questions around what you were looking for, and I will give you my best recommendation based on the watch that is the best fit for your needs. With that, I hope you have an excellent day, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.